Hey everybody, welcome back to the Badgerland Birding Podcast, bringing you birding news and stories from the Badger State and beyond. Today we're with Matt Zuro, who's going to tell us a little bit about bird photography, specifically owls, take some awesome owl photos, and kind of the birding scene in Illinois where he's from. How are you doing, Matt?
Doing good, guys. How are you?
Good, love
I'm
the
just ready
setup.
to get into the owl talk because I
Nice.
said before
Yeah.
we start recording, I was like, you've been taking some radical owl photos because I see them pop up on Instagram. I'm just like, how did that even happen? I'm like, how in the world does that photo exist? They're so crazy.
The owls are fun, dude. What can I say? And thank God I live where I do. I mean, they're just everywhere around here, so it makes it pretty easy to just do what I do within 5 minutes of my house. So I get to do it every night.
You
Most nights
also,
are not good.
though, have taken some trips recently to see owls in other parts of the country, though, too, haven't you?
I have, and I'm about to take another one this weekend. The bog. So it seems like a normal place for me to be this winter. I think I'll be there 5 times in total. So like 20-ish days, I think. I think that's what it totals out to. Um, like I mean, I go to like Indiana and stuff for days, and you get shorted owls and that kind of stuff down there, which is fine, but
Yeah,
they're everywhere.
the Saxon Bog in Minnesota is an incredible place. And I feel like it's been a decent year for diversity there. So, what kind of stuff have you seen so far, and what are you hoping to get on your next trip?
So I've seen everything you can see up there, and there's not too many species, obviously. I mean, there's probably 20 total species if you're a bird guy to see. But my first trip, it was raining the whole time besides the last day, so we only saw the pine marten the first 2 or 3 days, and then finally the last day we had a little morning snow. It was about 34 degrees, and we had four grays on the same road, McDavitt. And I mean, it was just picturesque. It was every perch was great. And there was snow covering everything. They had icicles on their eyes. It's pretty great. The last trip I went on, we had seven different grays and seven different spots. None of them were really on good perches, but again, seven different grays. You can't really complain about that. Plus the hawk owl, and then plus all the other bird species like boreal chickadee and pine grosbeak and blackback woodpecker, and it's all great. But
Yeah, and in that boreal forest, you mentioned the diversity not being super high, but I feel like all the species are really cool and unique.
they're really cool, and a lot of them are picturesque. Like the male pine grosbeak, beautiful bird. The male, even female, evening grosbeak, really pretty bird. Boreal chickadee, another gorgeous bird. Even the woodpeckers. I mean, they're kind of plain, but I mean, I think they're cooler than like hairy and downy and some of the stuff we have here. I won't put them over redheaded or pileated, but they're pretty nice.
So let me ask you this, because as birders, we're more birders than bird photographers. We
Mhm.
usually view the rare stuff as kind of the stuff we want to see the most. For you, is it kind of the same where it's, oh, that bird's rare, I want to take photos of it? Or is it more that bird has a really unique look or a pretty color, I want to take a photo of it?
It kind of depends, to be honest. So, like a few years ago, I'm not sure. I can't really even remember what this bird is called, but in Waukegan, they had this South American flycatcher. I
Fork-tailed?
can't, no,
Small-billed
because I
Alania.
like four-tailed. Yep, small-billed
Yep.
Lania.
Ryan went to
And
see that actually.
I did
yeah,
see that.
to me, it looked like a Phoebe or like any other, normal flycatcher behavior. So I didn't go see it, even though it was like maximum rareness. But it is what it is. But like, I mean, the fork-tailed flycatcher is super rare, but it's also a gorgeous bird, so I'll go see that. The Ross's gull we had here in 2022, or no, 2023. I mean, it was just a plain gull, but it's a cute gull, so I'll go take a picture of it. Um, Rareness, it doesn't really matter to me. It's just the picture. Like I'll take a good picture of a robin. It doesn't really matter to me. If it's too far, then I won't go see it unless it's like crazy, crazy rare.
Yeah, and how did you kind of get started in all this photography stuff?
So my ex introduced me to this whole thing in 2016. And then I slowly kind of like in 2016 I had a Canon T5 and like a kit lens. And then I upgraded to a 150 to 500 and a 7D Canon. And I did that for like 2 or 3 years, kind of learned it. I didn't really know much about birds. I kind of even dropped it off for 2 or 3 years. And then I'm not sure what happened, but right before COVID hit, I started kind of getting back into it. I got a Sony body and I got the Sony 200 to 600. And I started getting really into like snowy owls and this kind of stuff, what every middle-aged dude or young dude gets into, it seems like. Um, and Sony let me out their 600 prime over COVID, and I got to keep it for 6 or 7 months. And that during that time, I kind of really fell in love with the smaller birds as well, and not just the birds of prey, because everything just looks so unique. They're all just pretty in their own ways, the colors, the looks of them. But it's more, yeah, I guess my ex got me into it. That's the main answer here.
But you do a little sport photography as well, right?
I
It's not
do.
just wildlife. Was that
Yeah.
before the wildlife photography?
I started the sports photography in 2019. So I guess it kind of was right in the middle. It correlated, especially to getting the better gear, because again, they both go hand in hand in some sports, 600, 400, and the cameras. So
How do you decide what stuff you want to focus on getting? Because there's so many options out there. You mentioned you can get short-eared owls down there. You got the bog species. How do you decide
yeah.
on any given day what it is that you want to go photograph?
Well, it's more or less how far do I want to drive. So like for shorter owls, I'll go to Indiana. I'll go to Kankakee Sands. Everyone around here knows about Kankakee Sands, but again, it's an hour and a half from Chicago. So it's more or less, do I want to drive an hour and a half for shorter owls, or do I want to drive 5 minutes for screech owls, or do I want to drive? Those are the only owls I really care about right now. So yeah, we'll go with those. But it's more or less how much do I want to drive. I enjoy photographing shorter owls, I think more in general than I do screech owls, but the opportunities that I have with screech owls for unique photos is way higher than a shorted owl. Because what is a shorted owl going to do? It's going to land on a post, it's going to land on one of the plants out there, and that's about it. Maybe catch something. But you don't really get those sunset crazy colors of purples, the pinks, the reds that you do with a screech owl 20 minutes after sunset. So it's more creative with the screech owls. It's more just fun and go enjoy being out in nature with the short ears. And same with snowy and that kind of stuff.
So, what is one thing that's similar about photographing birds and photographing, sports, and what's one thing that's different?
So similar is obviously going to be shutter speed, I guess. I mean, you're just going to have to freeze the action with the birds in flight. With baseball, you want bat on ball. You don't want any blur in the bat. So you're probably going to be at or above 3200 shutter, 1/3200th on your shutter. I mean, I'm shooting upwards of, if it's bright sun, I'm shooting 1/16,000th of a second with my camera. Just because why not? You're not going to notice that ISO hit as much during the day as you would during the night. So those will freeze as much as possible. And then with birds in flight, obviously you want to be probably 2 times the length of your or 2 times the focal length of your lens. So if you shoot a 600, you want to be at 1/1250th at least. Obviously, you want to be probably 1/2500th or even more. But if you really learn your lens, you can pan and you can make use of 1/1250th. Different? I don't know. I mean, what's different? I guess you have to have patience. I mean, with baseball, you have to have patience too, but you're not spending 6 hours or you're not spending 2 months of your year looking for this one thing and hoping to God you get the perfect photo. Because baseball, the guy strikes out, the next guy comes up, and you get the same chance at bat on ball and ball in play, something like that. So probably just more, just it's a lot harder with birds than sports because in sports you're not really doing much except at the end of the game in a championship or a celebration. You can miss a lot of that stuff, and that does suck, but
Be
not
kind
as
of funny
stressful.
if the birds, once one was perched up for you, the next one just came, like it is with baseball, just
Hey,
revolving door of birds landing on the same
sometimes they
perch.
do that with the babies. Hey, that come right in.
I feel like there's so many different things that I'm curious to ask you about just stuff that you've experienced because some of the most interesting articles I've ever read about bird stuff have been photographers that go out looking for some rare species and then eventually get the perfect photo. I remember there was one with some kind of kingfisher where they finally got it diving in the water. They waited for like a year to get it.
Mm.
Was there a photo for you that was like that? Like you just waited for so long, maybe even weeks or months, and it finally just came into fruition?
Um, I think it would probably be with shorted owls. So for the longest time, I had so much of an issue. Again, this was 2 or 3 years ago of even getting a perch shorted owl. And I get again, this is like who really cares? It seems like anyone can get a perch shorted owl
The
at this
viewers
point,
care.
right? Yeah, but like it's not. It wasn't hard, but it was like every time I went out, I'd miss it for some reason. Whether it's me fumbling around with the camera, I'm not being in the right place. It took me, I think, a year and a half to even get just a perch photo of a shorted owl, whether it be a good photo, whether it be a bad photo. That was probably the hardest. The screech owl stuff just seems to it just happens almost. I mean, it happens a lot for some reason. I mean, it's probably because where I live, every background is different, every perch is different. They're landed in cavities, they're landed on dead trees, they're landed on open snags in backyards with lights. So that stuff, it doesn't seem very difficult. It's just, I mean, even the easier photos, like the shorter, it just seemed like the hardest thing to get. And even now, still, it's hard to get a perch short at all. I don't know why. I think they hate me, but I'll keep going. Doesn't
They
I don't care.
they just don't like to perch. Like it's been very rare I've
Nope.
ever seen a perch short ear. Kind of like
Yep.
Harriers in that way.
I think Harriers are even worse. I've
I
tried to
think
get
they
them
are
perched,
worse.
and I
Yeah.
don't have a single picture. Well, I have one on the ground, but not a perch photo still. And I love Harriers. They're amazing.
Yeah, I feel like the one or two times I've seen one perched, it like sees that you're looking at it and it's like, oh,
And
people
it
aren't supposed to
leaves.
see me perched, and it immediately flies.
Yep.
It's
That's
kind of
every
like seeing
experience.
a mascot with the mascot costume off, or just like, the
Oh
head of the
God.
costume taken off. Like somebody walks
Yep.
backstage, like, oh, wait a minute. Like, I can't perch. I forgot that's part of the routine.
Yep. I've had that happen at work before. Kind of weird. But
Did you notice a big difference in the quality of your photographs as you kind of got more expensive gear or just different gear? Can you kind of run us down like what you started on, where you're at
yeah.
now, what the biggest differences were?
So I mean, I'm just gonna start with when I started with Sony because the Canon stuff was so old and I didn't really even know what I was doing. Um, so I first started with a Sony A7 III and then an adapted Sigma lens from Canon. And the photos were like they were okay, they were whatever. I didn't really know what I was doing. I upgraded to the Sony A7R5, which is their high megapixel camera, and the 200 to 600, or sorry, A7R4 and 200 to 600. And the photo quality, it went up, but again, if you didn't really know what you were doing, and I didn't really know what I was doing in 2020 or 2019 into 2020, it didn't really matter. So when I got the 600 from Sony in 2020, the photos, they looked nice if you got them on an open perch because again the background's blown out at f4, but most of the pictures were still terrible because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to compose, I didn't know how to do settings, I didn't know how to not shoot at the sky. So yes, your photos will get better if you buy more expensive gear. Obviously, if you're shooting at 2.8 instead of 6.3, your photo's going to look nicer. But if you don't really know what you're doing with the cameras, if you don't know your settings, if you don't know how to compose, even the standard rule of third and that kind of stuff, your photos are still going to be just basic and not great. And I my photos up until 2022, in my opinion, were just horrible. So it took a lot of learning. The gear, again, it helps. It doesn't make anything. You can get a great photo with what I had with Canon and a 150 to 500 and a 7D. It's $1,000 for the whole setup. So yeah, just know what you're doing.
What helped you bridge that gap where you kind
That
of felt like you gained the knowledge just doing it over and over again?
over and over and over again. So in 2022, I believe it was 2022. Well, 2021 is when I really started just every single day during migration. I would go out and I go to Montrose Point, Chicago. Everyone knows about Montrose Point. You go, the birds are right at your fingertips, and you just shoot and shoot and shoot and see what you like. And I did that in the spring, and in the summer, I didn't really do much in the summer, but I went to HorrorCon once. Obviously, you guys are from Wisconsin; it's the place. Um, what else did I do? I didn't do much. I shot least bidder in the summer because someone tipped me off, and then in the fall I went back to Montrose almost every single day and shot almost every single day. And I mean, 2021, I think I took the most pictures of my life. I've had to have taken hundreds of thousands of pictures, and I still don't really have many good photos. But then I feel like something clicked in 2022 where I must have been over the winter. I kind of went back and just looked at what I had. I looked at eBird on the library. I can't pronounce the name, Maclaury or something like that.
Macaulay.
Macaulay.
Macaulay. And I was looking at like the top photos that everyone's taken, and most of them, if you look at them, they have general similar composition. They're on the left side, they're on the right side. It's the rule of thirds. They're on the top right, or
Do you mind explaining
the
the rule of thirds just for people that may have never heard of that before?
So the rule of thirds is you have the left side of your frame, you have the middle, and then you have the right side. I don't know if the thing is mirrored, but you have three sides or three different sections of your image. And if you put something right in the middle of your picture, it's kind of just it's there. It's like, whoa, that's whatever. And then you have empty space on the left, empty space on the right. And if the bird's sitting in the middle of your picture and it's looking this way, you kind of want to have the bird I'm trying to just picture where I am. You want to have the bird seemingly looking into the distance of your photo. So you want to have more dead space where it's looking than you want to have behind it because there's nothing happening back here. The bird doesn't care about what's back here. So you kind of want to position your bird. If it's looking that way, you're going to put it on this side to have the most empty space here. Like if something's over here that you can't see, just something like that. I'm terrible at explaining this stuff. It works more in my brain than, coming out of my mouth, but you get the gist of it.
Yeah, so you want the bird in one side looking where there's open space, giving it a little
Yeah.
headroom so you can kind of
Yeah.
see like what it's looking at and have
Like
more like the edge of the photo behind it.
basically. Yep. You can put it at the bottom of the frame, give more bokeh background. If you're shooting a duck and you have nice reeds and color behind it, probably want the duck lower and your reeds up here. Because again, if you put it up here and you got all this water, it just kind of looks meh. But with warblers, I usually put them top of the frame, whether regardless, because I don't know. I just think it looks weird at the bottom of the frame with warblers, but it's more up to your style of editing. I can't really speak on any one right thing to do, but yeah.
Gotcha. Um, it is crazy if you go into the Macaulay library and you look at the top rated photos, they're
Yeah,
incredible. And then you can
they
look
are
at
incredible.
you can click and it'll show you the camera gear
Yep.
and all the settings and stuff. So it's really interesting to go through and see what kind of things people shot these photos on and how they're able to get
Yep.
such crazy pictures.
And if you look at some of the cameras, they're not crazy expensive, insane setups. I've looked at some of the stuff. Some people are just using 150 to 600 Sigmas, which are $800, and they're using a 500 or a Nikon D500 or something like that. In the $2,000 range. You don't need $20,000 worth of gear to take a award-winning photo. Obviously,
What's the deal with the Sigmas? Because I feel like people mention them kind
Hmm.
of like with a negative connotation.
I don't think they're negative. I mean, the contemporary 150 to 600s that everyone buys. It's not the 600 or the 60 to 600, but the 150 to 600 contemporary. It's out for Nikon, Canon. I think that's the only contemporary because Sigma makes the same lens, the 150 to 600 for Sony, but it's a sport. But just any of that, same lens, 150 to
So
600.
is Sigma more just like they make the lens and it fits with multiple cameras? Is that
It's a
kind of the
third.
deal?
So Sigma is a third party brand. It's a third party maker. So Sigma, Tamron, Laowa, just these kind of third party brands will license out the lens mount, and then they'll make lenses for that lens mount, and they're more affordable. They're always more affordable. Usually, disclaimer: you can get cine lenses that are $1 billion, but they're usually more affordable, which is why people go for them because you're not dropping $3,000-4,000 on a lens. You're only dropping $900, and it gets the job done. There's not too much of a difference. Obviously, corner sharpness can be different, or the vignette, or the coma, or the whatever. But generally, they're good options for people that are getting into the hobby that don't want to drop $1 million on camera stuff. And I'm a big proponent for that. I recommend that stuff to everyone that starts. $900, go buy it. It's
Sweet.
way better. So
We were talking about the Macaulay library. I thought that I saw that one of your photos was on eBird's homepage before. Am I right in that?
I think I've had 7. I don't know. That's like
He's
You've done
not
what are
counting
seven of
though.
them?
He's not counting.
I'm not counting, but I think I've had 7 on the
Do they give
homepage.
you something? Do they give you a little like
No,
medal or something? Or just
no,
like, hey, thanks for supporting the cause?
no. You don't even know that they're on the homepage. The only reason I've known that you're on the home or that I'm on the homepage is other
Because you
people sending
stalk it?
me. I don't. I
Every
don't stalk
day.
it.
Is it time?
I
Refresh.
wish. Well, usually because you'll see like a sudden burst of interactions on the picture. Like my
Uh,
screenshot picture from last winter went from like it was like 10 interactions one morning after I posted it, and then 2 days later it was like 150. So I was like, oh well, something must have happened. Sure, it's on the homepage. I think now that has like 600 or something likes or what ratings or whatever they call it on that website, but you you don't know. You never know, which is weird. I feel like they should email you and tell you
I feel
because
like
I
they
yeah,
feel
they
like a
should
lot
should.
of
Yeah.
people would be hyped.
they should congratulate you or something. Get a
Yeah,
little
or
certificate.
That'd be
certificate.
cool.
Dude, I would just take an email because again, a lot of people just post the pictures and they never look again. But I've seen people from Illinois have their stuff on there. I'm sure people just want to know they're on there because it's a cool thing. They're on the front page of a website. If you're listening, hey,
It's kind of like
do
Even
being
that,
at
on the
please.
box of Wheaties, basically.
Yeah,
Sports
hey,
Illustrated.
yeah,
Birds
yeah.
Illustrated. I like it.
Oh, geez, front cover, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I was gonna ask, what do you usually do with your photos? Because there's tons of people that take photos. I feel like a lot of people kind of just like take them and then don't put them anywhere, don't do anything with them. And I wonder,
Uh,
you know, what do they do then?
I'm the same person. I take them
You're
and I
that
put them
guy.
on my Instagram, and I'll sometimes I put them on my Instagram. Otherwise, I'm lazy and I don't post for 2 weeks. Or I post a lot on the library. I like contributing to the library, but I don't. I used to post on Facebook. I don't post on Facebook. Never did Twitter. I don't share them. I don't really print them. I'll print like my top of the top pictures, like the one that was on the screenshot that was on the homepage. I have a massive print above my computer that's 3x2, and I have an owl wall of all the owl species I have, but that's it. I mean, I want to do a warbler wall, but I think 40 or so images would kind of get a little crazy on a wall.
That
So
sounds
see
awesome.
about that. Yeah, it would be awesome, but the whole wall would kind of be discombobulated. But
I think you got to get a spot at a museum exhibit or something, and people can be
that would
like,
be
"Here's the
cool.
owl one. Here's the warbler
Hmm.
one." Yeah.
I'd be
I think what
down.
you
I'd
have
be
to
down
do
for those.
actually is get every owl species you've had as the homepage on eBird, and only then can you count it as complete.
Dude, that's gonna kill me. That would kill me.
That's your
Because
life's work.
it would. Dude, I just want a blackens. I can't even say it. A
Black as
fish
Tibbs.
owl. Yeah, and I want that to be on the homepage. That's the life goal, is to see that damn fish owl. I don't know if it'll happen, but I gotta see that. I
Have you
gotta
ever
get a good
tried
picture
it?
of it. What, try to see it?
Yeah.
Dude, I wish. I don't have that kind of money. I just spent it on cameras.
You
But
got to get the Sigma. You got to go budget.
I don't know about that. It's hard to go back from this stuff. It is nice. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I do love it, but
Well, you
yeah,
mentioned Sony loaned you, was it the 600?
6 and 400 during COVID,
Is that
and I
just a
don't.
straight 600, straight 400, no
Yep,
zoom on that?
yep, 600 prime, 400 prime, so
And they
400
let you
2.8.
keep it for like 6 months?
Well, they lended it to me February like 17th, and then the world shut down like 2 weeks later, and I was supposed to send it back after 3 weeks. So they were just like, you can keep it for whenever. So I sent it back in September or something like that. But I
And
thank them
then
for
did you
that.
buy it then? Did
I
they
did.
give you a discount?
I did not.
Oh, dang.
Dude, I tried. I tried.
Yeah, I'd be like, I've bonded with this lens. Could
Yeah.
you just let me keep it?
Well, I had to wait. I had to wait like 6 months to even get the 600 in because of the supply constraints. I was like, dude, I just want to give you 13 grand. Come on, just give me the lens, man. You don't even let me spend the money. But I did buy it. So they got a customer out of letting me have the lens for 6 months. And then I bought the 400 as well. So they got their return on investment, I think.
That's good. I was gonna ask, you mentioned the black Sims fish owl. What
Mhm.
bird in the US that's kind of, within striking distance is your next one that you really want to get photos of?
Photos of, huh? Let me think. Barn
There's a lot of
owl.
different
Yeah.
owls out there.
Barn
Barn
owl.
owl.
Barn
Interesting.
owl.
Oh,
Yeah.
barn.
Barn, not bard. I don't want to
Gotcha.
see another barn owl.
So have
Ouch.
Uh,
you ever seen a barn owl before? Would that be a
I
life
have,
bird for you?
yeah.
You
No,
have?
I've seen them. They came. So Montrose Point got three of them in one fall. So I saw all those, and then I saw another one at McCormick Place the year before. So I've seen like four or five or something like that. Um, but I've never gotten like a good picture one. I want one on a nice perch with a nice background. The one and everyone seems to get them in California and Florida. So I guess I got to go back to one of those states and see what I can get.
That's
Is a nice
wild that
background to you like a dilapidated barn in the background? Like, is
That'd be
that the
cool.
on-brand nice background you like, or one
I
in a
mean,
pristine forest?
I think forest. I think that's more my style. But if there was a barn in the way back and then, a nice perch on the outside and it was sitting on the perch and you could kind of bokeh out the barn, but still know it's a barn, obviously I want that one. But that's like AI generated dream picture that would never happen.
I was
But who
gonna say you're
knows?
gonna have to start constructing sets out there and just hope that someday something lands.
Is,
I remember one time I
is
was
that
birding with
ethical?
a guy who was a big photographer, and there was this old farm equipment in this field, and we were looking for snowy owls, and he was just like in a dreamy way, like, I want someday to get a photo of that owl on this farm equipment.
Yeah.
His dream was to get a snowy owl on the old farm equipment.
If you just keep going, it'll happen one day. Maybe. Who knows?
If there really are infinite universes, it has to.
Yeah. If snowy owls even exist anymore.
That's a good point. I think there was one in Wisconsin now that's people have had the last couple of days, but it has not been a good year for them, which
It's
I'm
really
sure has
not.
been a bummer for people taking photos and birders all over the country.
I can't
Yeah.
believe you guys had 4 barn owls. I don't even remember hearing about that.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on. It was like every 2 weeks there was one reported at Montrose. I mean, it had to have been the same thing that just kept doing circles or something, but it was, I can get the dates, but there, I think it was twice in November and then one time in October because it was pouring rain one day. And then it was beginning of November because I remember we went there for avocets and there just happened to be a barn owl. And then we were looking for long ears. So yeah, middle of November, and there was another barn owl. And then there's one more day, I think. I mean, I could just be delusional, but there were definitely 3 days that there was barn owl in 2022. So that was something, a story.
I've got a question for you. Was there a photo opportunity that either you completely missed, you saw the shot and you couldn't get the camera up in time, or you got a picture of it but did not turn out at all how you hoped, that still haunts you to this day?
Still haunts me to this day. I don't think so. I mean, like the I haven't gone on many trips, so I'm sure if I went on more trips and that stuff happened, I'd feel a lot more pain. But a lot of the stuff I shoot is around here. So if I screw up something, I just go out the next day and I hope to get it again. It was probably shorted owls for the longest time. Um, I guess with owls, the thing I kick myself most about is probably it's probably the barn owl. The first time in 2022 we had the barn owl, it flew right over my head by about 10 feet. And it was more or less, I was just staring at the thing flying over me instead of actually holding my camera up and taking the picture.
The birder and
Because,
you took over.
yeah, I didn't really expect that to happen. And I was like, oh my God, this is actually happening. And then, of course, it flew to the top of a tree and it sat there and then it flew away and no one could find it again. So that was like, well, that sucks, but it was cool to experience.
Have you
Um,
gotten boreal owl yet?
no. How many
Okay,
times have I tried for a boreal? About 6, 7 times.
really?
Yeah, I've done many overnight trips to Duluth in the last 2 years,
And
and it's
that's
come up
not on the list
empty.
of your next one you want to photograph?
Look, dude, it's not gonna happen. I've accepted this winter. It's not happening.
The
So
broken man.
I'm a broken man. I'm not hyped, but boreal owl, I really want it. At the end of the day, it's a rare solid owl that's a different color. So that's how I see it. That's how I hope with myself for all the,
I was gonna
you
say
know,
that's justification right there.
that's
That's
heavy
actually
cope,
psychologically diagnosed.
heavy copium. Um, the barn owl, it's just something about the barn owl. I don't know what it is. It's that like whitish, yellowish, I don't know, just a pretty bird to me with the heart
The
face.
heart-shaped face.
And it's to me, it's more or less, it's way harder for me, it seems, to get a picture of a barn owl than if I really wanted a boreal owl, I could just go to Canada. I have buddies up there that, have them in Canada. So if I really wanted that, I could do that. And it's not hard. They just sit there and don't really do much. But barn owls seems like heaven forbid they're on anything that looks nice. So that's the next target.
If it makes you feel any better, I still haven't actually seen a barn owl. It would be a life bird for me still. So you're doing better than me.
Hey, legend has it, rumor has it, they're somewhere in Wisconsin along the Mississippi,
Yeah, who
Sometimes,
knows?
someplace.
they usually just turn up when they're deceased. Someone finds a wing or something, and then
Yep, that happens in
that's all you
Chicago as
get.
well. Yep, or a head. We've had a couple
Oh,
heads in
Oh,
Wisconsin, in Montrose Point. I think one time at least a head, but wings and stuff. Yep, they
it's
love to die to
grisly.
peregrines. It seems like.
gruesome. Yeah, they're kind of fragile. I
Yeah,
mean,
they
they're
don't.
very elegant looking, but
Mhm.
they don't
They're just kind of stupid. Yeah.
It's
they don't
possible.
they don't make good life choices.
No.
So I gotta ask, how much post processing do you do on the photos? Is that like a big part of it? Because I know some people like to just shoot and just upload. Other people's like have a 10-step post process. Like, what is your go to?
It depends what the original scene was like. So, like with what kind of bird? What kind of picture are you talking
Like, we'll
about?
say a screech owl.
Screech owl? Okay. So I would share my screen and show you. It's heavy processing in some parts because again the picture is so dark still even if you're shooting at a 1 second exposure at 4000 ISO, the bird itself is dark, the background is so bright because again the sunset's in the background, so you gotta do a lot of masking. So my photos have 5, 6, 7 masks on them to bring out the bird, to bring the background back to what it I want it to look like. Um, it's pretty heavy. The saturation isn't very heavy. I don't really turn the saturation up too much. I could
Are you
bump it up for, what's up?
are you shooting in RAW?
Always, yep. I always shoot
Gotcha.
raw. I I shoot compressed raw. I know people love uncompressed raw. They say, "Oh, well, the dynamic range is so much better." It's not really that much better. Don't buy into the lie. The file sizes are 2 times the size. It's not worth it. Um, so I shoot compressed raw. They're 50 megabytes, which is still huge. Um, but again, the processing varies on the picture and what colors I want to bring out. It's usually pretty heavy and compared to like a warbler picture where you're not combating these super high dynamic range situations. Um, but I know I don't, it's kind of sucks saying it because I would love for the picture to not be heavily edited and just be like, that's the way it looked. It's not the way it looked. Most of the pictures you see online are not the way they've actually looked.
Yeah,
Um,
it's kind of crazy seeing like the difference between the before and after and what people are
mhm,
able to bring out.
mhm.
Now, just to clarify, so the deal with shooting in RAW is that allows you to have access to more of the elements, but the files are huge, right? As opposed to shooting in
Yep,
JPEG, where it's like kind of more is the way it is. You can just change certain things.
yep, yep,
Okay, gotcha.
yep.
Still
So
learning all this photography stuff.
Derek
definitely do
got a big
raw.
Olympus lens, and now he's a photographer, but he had to send it back.
Oh,
It was a loaner,
Yeah, I
so
tested
oh.
it. They only let me keep it for like a month, so.
Did they send you the OM2 or whatever they just came out with?
No, they let me test the OM1, and then I found out the OM2
Oh,
came out. And I was, what's
man.
up with that?
Yeah, they should have sent you the whole kit. Could have went out
Yeah.
and did a whole thing. Could have done the
we
whole
think they
trip.
should just given him the OM1. Just
Yeah,
like,
why
here you
not?
Yeah, we
go.
have the two
Hmm.
now. Here, you can keep the one.
Hmm. And then you go buy a lens and look, they just got a customer.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
there
was
you
That's
funny though,
business
because he
101 right there.
he turned into a big time photographer for that time he had it. He was like, I gotta go outside and get some
I started talking
goldfinches.
about lighting a lot.
Goldfinches.
I was
Yeah, he's
just
like, the
Oh
like,
lighting
oh
man.
man, the
sucks.
lighting, you know?
He used to be like, "Oh, that's a cool bird. I'm so happy I get to take videos of it." And he's like, "The lighting on that rare gray colored Picard is awful, and
Oh,
I
I
hate
did
it."
Yeah.
not say anything about the Picard. I was just happy we saw that thing,
Is that
man.
is that a is that a Texas reference? Where is this
Yeah, we were
from?
in Texas, so
Yeah.
we were looking at a lot of like cool stuff. But it was fun to have like an act. I had
Hmm.
tried the 150 to 400 Pro lens on it, so it was fun to actually like take birds and flight shots and things.
It is fun, but then you learn a lot about light, and then you know why photographers are such sticklers about shooting past like 9 in the morning because it just sucks most of the time. And it's hard to make it work. It is really
Photographers, I
hard.
feel like definitely complain more than birders though, because
Oh, we
birders are like, "Oh, I'm
complain.
so glad we saw it." Photographers are
Hmm.
like, "I didn't get a good picture."
Yep. There's too much heat haze, or the light's too harsh. The colors don't pop right. There's. I'm the same way. I complain all the time. Is what it is. Whatever.
You become curmudgeonly as you graduate into photographer. I think that a lot of
Hmm.
people too, well, not a lot of people, but I think that there's a good amount of people that start out as birders, and then once they've seen most of the birds, they kind of say, okay, now I want to do something extra with the birds because otherwise it's kind of the same stuff over and over.
Right.
So I think sometimes then people go, okay, I'm going to take pictures and focus on that now. So it's kind of the next level occasionally, it feels
Hmm.
like.
Yeah, I mean, it's just something more to do, and it keeps you enjoying the birds because if you're not enjoying them through the binoculars, at least take a picture of them. I mean, gives you a little something more to do.
Yeah.
But
Do you ever just go out birding? Do you ever just bring the binoculars instead?
no, I mean, so do I have it in here? No, I don't. So I have a thermal binocular.
Oh, that's
It's a
sweet.
Pulsar Telos XV50. Um, it's amazing. So at night, I'll go out and I'll look for owls that way and just bring that along. And that's probably the most birding I'll do. Otherwise, I feel like if I see a crazy bird and I see a good photo and I don't have a camera, that's when I'm gonna wanna, do some bad things,
The first
because
time you go out with just binoculars, a barn owl is gonna fly and
that's
land
when the
right in
barn
front
owl
of
is gonna
you.
be right at Salt
100%.
Creek. Yep, right by my house. I already know it.
Right on the
So,
wood line.
oh man, right on a dead tree,
Yep,
dead
right out in
stump.
the open.
Yep. But no,
Is the using the thermal binoculars, is it, I guess, easy? Do you find a lot of birds that way? Does it open up a lot for you in order to find those owls?
so again, so full disclosure, I got this 2 months ago. So very preliminary, but I have found owls with it, mostly great horned, barred. But at night, screech owls, it's so easy to find screech owls at night if you really know where they, are not roosting, but their territory. I mean, it's pretty immediate once the sun goes down and that remnant heat. burns off of the bushes, they pop out like crazy. So it's easy to find them that way for me. I haven't found any in cavities yet because it's been so sunny for some reason. I'm not complaining, but the trees are so hot with the sun that you can't really tell if it's a bird or just a tree being hot with the monocular. So we'll see how that works in the spring with them nesting. I'm sure it'll be a lot easier then. Um, I'm more excited to test it on bittern, on rail, and even skulking warblers, Connecticut, Kentucky, because the smaller birds that aren't like owls, because owls they just soak all the heat in. Anything that's not the face of an owl is just cold, completely cold. But the smaller birds like chickadees, cardinals, blue jays are all just red hot all over their body. So I feel like, that you're going to be able to find a Connecticut or Kentucky a lot easier than just sitting there looking with your eyes. And I'm kind of excited about that because they're some of my favorite warblers are the skulkers. So we'll see.
Yeah. So, a couple questions. A little background first on the thermal. So, basically, it's kind of new technology that's popped up, but basically, you hold it up and different heats will be different colors. So, it's easier to
Yep.
find birds and animals that have a heat signature against something that's, colder like the background. Can you only use it at night then? Because during the day, is stuff too warm from the sun, or can you use it all the time?
So you can use it all the time. So it's more or less when you look at a tree and it's warm and it's just the tree and the backgrounds are more trees and you can't see the sky, it'll adjust for that temperature on the tree to the other trees and something hotter in the frame, right? So if the tree's 40 degrees and the bird is 70 degrees, you're going to see that bird pop more. But when you introduce that cold sky, when it's sunny outside, the sky is only 20 or 30 degrees in theory, the trees just glow orange because the trees are so much hotter than the air and the sky behind it that it makes it really hard. But if you look at the ground, even when it is hot, it's adjusting for just the temperatures in that little small area. So if something is much hotter than that little area, it'll pop up really easy. And I found, when we were in the bog, the ermine and the pine marten, you could see them through the tree line, just kind of sitting in the grass, or not the grass, but the snow, and you knew that you could stay there and just wait for them to come out and track them like that. Um, so yeah, I mean, you could. I'm not going to say you can use them when it's 90 because I think everything at that point would be hot. But I think I've read from some people that in 60s and 70 degrees they're really good. So I'm hyped to see in 2 months how they work, even with a month from now with woodcock and stuff. So we'll see.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I feel like that's kind of one of the really new big things in birding. Can I
Yep.
ask how much yours cost? Because I know some
It,
of them are like way up there.
it was $4,000. So mine. It was not cheap, but there are cheaper offerings like from Pulsar. There's an XG35 or an XQ35, which are like 1,500 or 2,000, which again, it's still a lot of money, but it's not 4,000. We have had people in my group buy the cheaper FLIR, like the phone attachments, or
Mhm.
like the crappy Amazon $300 ones. They don't work. Anything that on YouTube that says they work or they're crazy, they pick everything out. They don't. We've tried them in the bog. We've tried them just around the house. They're just not great. The sensitivity seems lower, so I don't really know how to describe it. They're just not good. That's all I can say. It's definitely a pay to play thing. It's not like binoculars where it's like they're okay, and then you get to they're good, and then you get to they're good but gooder. So I know gooder's not a real word.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah,
We won't bust you
but
on that one. We get what
ah,
you're saying.
We
That
need
yeah.
sounds
a
really cool though,
we need a
being able to do
thermal
that.
loaner program where you can test it out. That's what
You
I
can rent
want.
them. You can
Can
rent
you?
them. Yeah, that's how we.
I mean, that
So
sounds cool.
yeah, I don't know what the website's called, but my buddy Holden rented one, and we took it to the bog, and that's how we found out that this is like actually legit if you spend money. So then we all spent money, and here we are. So I think we have like 3 or 4 people now with these big monoculars. I can't wait to pull up to Montrose Point with one and look like a total psychopath, but whatever. I don't care.
Yeah,
I hope
those
you
Cool
also
loaner.
come out
stuff.
with the radio dish too, so then you can hear the Connecticut's from 6 miles away, and then you're also picking them up on the
Yep.
thermal, and you just look like
Yep.
you're some kind of secret agent.
You got to have the big camera too. You just got to be look like a total psycho.
Do you go
But that's
camo too?
Montrose. No, my opinion on camouflage, especially in this area, is it's completely pointless. And if you put it on, it's kind of weird to me. I mean, birds don't care. I mean, in this area, it seems like they don't care. I'm sure if you go to the bog or wherever and you have full camo, your face is covered. Some of these people wear a camo jacket and they think they're just invisible, but it's more the face, it seems like, for birds, where if you don't cover that, it doesn't matter if you're in full camo. They can see your face. They're not stupid. So that's how I
It's
feel about
actually kind of
camo.
we talk a lot about how it seems like, when you do get your camera on a bird, sometimes you see that's when they freak out.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just kind of watching it and all of a sudden you put that lens up. Do you know why? Is it just because they see that big circular thing and it kind of looks like a large eye, or is there something that the camera actually emits that they feel or pick up or can see?
I just think they know they're. I don't know why. I'm not gonna say I know why, but I think they just know you're looking at them in one way or another.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So anytime with owls, we got to talk about like the ethical part of it because some
Let it rip.
photographers they'll like post their pictures and the owl is super wide-eyed, it's super thin. You can tell like they were way too close
Mm-hmm.
to it, and then a bunch of people are like amazing picture, incredible, what wide eyes, that kind of thing. How do you balance enjoying owls but also respecting their boundaries?
I mean, that's a really. I mean, it's a the topic right of owl ethics right now is so debated. It seems like, especially with, I mean, just this winter in the Midwest area, it's just been kind of crazy with long-eared and saw-whet and all the stuff happening up north. But for me, it's more or less with playback. I'm not gonna lie. I've used playback before. I've used playback to find owls. I don't use playback starting February through breeding season, through summer and whatever, just because I really don't want to interfere with whatever nesting that's going on. And I'm speaking specifically to screech, because that's really only the owl species I care about in this area. Um, if I the thing is with Screech, when they come out of their hole at night, it's dark enough to the point where I think they don't think I can see them, because I've never had them get that stuck up, thin, tufts wide up, eyes wide open, kind of angry look. They just always kind of fat. I'm not sure why, because I'm still 10, 15 feet away from them, typically where you'd see them get stressed out. I don't know if some owls have certain tolerance levels or whatever, but if I ever do see an owl get stressed out, just leave immediately. I don't want to flush it off his territory, because obviously, I'm not gonna lie, I want to reap the benefits. I want to go back there every few nights and take its picture. I'd rather not flush it out of the area. I don't want it to get killed either. Um, that's generally the rule I will go about. If I ever see stress, I leave. If I see it changing holes for some odd reason, every 3 days, I don't think that's normal. So I'll just leave them alone. I've left owls alone for over a year if I see that happening, because it's got to be me that's doing it. I don't know why it would be changing holes every now and or every day or two, if it's unless it's a squirrel or something. Um, it's just whenever I start seeing a bird get stressed out, I will leave it alone for weeks, just because I don't want to be the one responsible for getting it killed or something like that. But feel free to ask me any questions. I'll talk ethics all day. It's a hot topic here.
Why
It's
is it a hot topic right now? Like we have some stuff going on up here. There's a saw wet owl that's kind of being gate kept, and there's been some pictures of it where it looks terrified. And then the
It's
long
like,
ears are of course always an issue up here too because people scare those away. And I
yeah,
could talk for hours about people acting inappropriately by the long eared owls. But is that the same down by you? Is it those two species you said again?
yeah. This winter there hasn't been like any solid owls here besides in one certain spot, so that hasn't really been a hot topic. But long-eared in Illinois, same as you guys. You guys have that one area. We had that one area a couple of years ago. And I'll say it was a deer grove. Everyone knew about it. People from Texas knew about it. People from Arizona knew about it. And people would just go back there. They'd flush them to get them in flight, and it was just, oh, everyone's having a great time here. Um, and it was just a terrible. No one, you can't go and enjoy the birds when you're seeing stuff like that, because you know what's happening. Like, even if you're taking their picture, you subconsciously know you're doing a bad thing. I think everyone has to know that. But this this winter, why I feel like it's such a debated, heavy thing, is there's stuff going up in a certain state that might be a little northwest to you guys that I won't mention the name of. I don't know anyone there. I'm not part of this, but I do know there's a lot of controversy there about the way they're going about things and the way birds are being treated, specifically saw and long-eared. Again, I don't want to, give away who I'm friends with or who I talk to up there, but there's a lot of really questionable stuff going on up there with yeah. I just don't want to
Yeah, no
give
worries.
away, yeah.
I
But
think something you mentioned that really irritates me is when people scare birds to get flight photos because it's just such like a selfish thing to move that
yeah.
bird where it's comfortable just to get like a
Mhm.
picture. And, people always kind of do the like, oh, something spooked it, and then I got this photo of it in flight. Like you can kind
Yeah.
of read between the lines there.
Well, it's like most long-eared owls are not going to go get spooked by a chipmunk. Obviously, someone walked under the thing and flushed it. It is what it is. It's not going to get scared by a squirrel. Um, it pisses me off when people lie about that kind of stuff. And you see it in Chicago too with snowy owls. Whenever there's a snowy owl at Montrose Point on the fish hook, me and my buddy were there 2 years ago and we were photographing it. And some guy asked us if we were done. We were walking away. He had a camera. We turned around. Dude rode his bike up to it, flushed it, took its picture, and posted it in Illinois Birding Network and got like 1,000 likes. Magical moment? No, I don't think so, dude. I think you just went and flushed the thing because you wanted to. Um, People are so driven by social media engagement. It's kind of sad, and they kind of forget the whole reason. Like, just let the birds just be the birds. Don't interact with them like that. It's a terrible thing, in my opinion, to do. It pisses me off. It does piss me off.
I think the only way to fix that too, to a degree, is to educate people enough that when they see something like that, like when they see an owl looking terrified, or they, hear about somebody chasing one away, that instead of giving that photo a like, and instead of saying "great capture," they start to say, "What are you doing, dude?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, don't scare the owl away. More people want to see it." Because it's not just selfish from that perspective too, of hey, you scared this owl away. It's now expending energy. It's having to change its roosting site. It could potentially get injured or hurt. It's also other people want to be able to see it respectfully. So if
Right.
you have a
Yep.
group of 10 people that want to see this owl and one person goes in and flushes it, they ruin it for everybody. And that
I agree.
also delves into the gatekeeping issue as well, because a lot of people keep owls more under wraps because there's going to be people that go in and flush it. So they'll tell a set number of people, and then you'll end up with this owl that could spark interest from other people, getting them into birding, getting them into bird conservation, but they never get to see it because some people are behaving badly and therefore the community can't know. So it's frustrating, like you said, that a couple of people, or maybe even it's more than a couple of people, but that a set number of people are responsible for this issue that ruins it for everybody.
Yeah. And the gatekeeping is another strange thing. I mean, technically, I probably gatekeep stuff. I mean, I know about dozens and dozens of owls, and I'd rather not tell anybody about them because the deep seated fear of them going there and ruining it for me. It's a selfish thing, but I don't want them to go there and flush them off territory. And then, especially once you tell one person, that person's going to tell one other person or two other people. And then that's just going to, keep going. And they'll be like, oh, I won't tell anybody. They're going to tell somebody. I'll, we all would. I'm going to keep it real. It's just human instinct. You want to share it with somebody. So I don't, I'm not technically gatekeeping. I don't have a group of people that I take with me, but um, I get why it's frustrating. We in Illinois, it's more the rarities that get gate kept instead of the owls. So like the Mexican violet ear, that was gate kept. 50
Hmm.
people got to see it for a few days, and that was it. If you weren't in the know, then you weren't in the know until the story came out. Um, Black-throated gray, um, that's a touchy subject that just happened, but everyone got to see it, luckily. So um,
Wait, what did you say? Did you say everyone but you got to see it?
no, I got to see it, but that was gonna be another bird. Again, I don't know. I'm not the guy. I didn't say this, but it was. It's because it was at a private residence, and they didn't know if they wanted that many people there. Turns out she was okay with 1 billion people coming over and spending time in her house and talking to them. So that's great. Um, Another bird that's been gate kept is there was a gyrfalcon in LaSalle County that no one knew about until it was flushed a few days later, and that pissed me off because I would kill to see a gyrfalcon. It's a big thing for me. I'd rather see that than any species of owl in the U.S. at this point.
Wow.
Yeah, they're just cool, dude. They're
Yeah,
just
cool.
big, chunky, angry birds.
I would love
So
to see one of the pure white ones that
that's what
just
I want to
looks like
see.
a
Yep.
snowy owl version of a falcon.
Hmm.
That I don't think they ever would come down here because they're way up there, that variety,
Yeah.
but that's so cool.
Yeah, I think this one was just like the standard looking, slightly cooler peregrine falcon, but still big and it's cool. I want to see the big and cool bird.
Yeah, that
So,
actually, with those specifically as well, and some of the other owl species, not only are they gate kept by individual people, but they're also gate kept by eBird because they're sensitive now too. So Derek and I talk about it a lot. We'll probably never be able to see a gyrfalcon or northern hawk owl or gray in Wisconsin because those
mhm.
reports are suppressed on eBird. So
Yep,
even if people wanted to get it out, eBird's gonna hide it. You're not gonna see it on anything until you just look at the big map and there's a big like purple
purple
splotch on it.
blotch.
It's
Yep.
somewhere, yeah, somewhere in that area. So it's really limited the way you can see those birds, and I get it because people behave badly again, or
Hmm.
falconers come and try to take that stuff too. So it's just
Yeah.
a weird problem to have.
Well, I feel like when we started 10 years ago, it wasn't like that because we were able to see a Gir falcon that showed up at Buena Vista grasslands the first year because it wasn't a suppressed species or anything. But now I feel like it's getting harder and harder to find that stuff. And I wonder if even just things like snowies and saw-whets are going to get
Oh,
hidden by
jeez.
eBird at one point. And it's going to be this kind of deal where a lot of the species that would get new birders into birding and conservation, they're not going to be able to see because it's such a hidden type thing.
I could see them hiding solid owls, especially after the debacle this winter so far with some of the solids in the area. I'd be shocked if they did snowies though. A lot of heartbrokenness over here because I just use eBird to find those things all the time. I'm not going to search fields. I'll be
Not
honest.
this
I don't
year.
want to put the work in. Oh, true, especially not this year. Yeah, if I don't see a red dot on eBird for a snowy owl, I ain't going out and looking in cornfields. Not this year. But I get it. I do get the sensitiveness of some of this stuff because the way people act, it's just shitty. It's people that are doing it. It's our I'm not gonna say how do I want to say it? It's our companions' actions that are causing this. So we need to educate people or we need to cast those people away, but it's just not possible. So it's just gonna keep getting worse in my opinion. What
I
sucks, but
I feel like it's tough because you do have the negative action with the positive reinforcement online of people being like,
oh
"This is an
yeah.
amazing photo, great jobs." Then there's nothing discouraging them from doing the same thing again. Some groups have said we're not going to accept these photos because people are doing unethical things to get them. So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of trying to combat that, but there's a lot of like ethical stuff. It's the same as literally anything else in life, is a couple people can ruin it for everyone.
And it is. It's mostly just a couple of people that are ruining it. I mean, most people are they either they're not aware of the ethical, stuff. Right? That's fine. You can be blissfully unaware. That's fine. But there's a couple people that know what they're doing, and they're doing it to get interactions. They're stressing them out to get interactions, and it just sucks. And it's not gonna stop until they stop getting interactions, or they get called out. But then some people choose, the Joker arc, and they just go do it more. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but
I mean,
it
that's
sucks
kind of
for us.
why I don't know if you're into like herping at all and that kind of stuff. But I mean, at least birds can fly. Are you familiar with
Is that
herping?
with frogs?
Like,
What is that?
reptiles and
Reptiles,
amphibians,
amphibians.
looking for
Okay.
snakes and stuff.
Hmm.
Like that stuff's really kept under wraps because people can go and take
Really?
it. Yeah, like, if there's a
Go
turtle you
yoink it.
find, someone could go take it for their collection or whatever. So that's even more like no one wants to tell you where anything is because it can't fly like a bird can.
Right. Yeah. It's definitely a turtle. I just can't imagine the mindset some people have to go and just take stuff, but I guess some people do think that way. It's just very weird to me. Just come on, man. Just let nature be nature. Enjoy it and go home and watch TV.
Can you tell us a little more about just like the birding scene in Illinois? Is like Chicago the main place? Is there like a couple main places?
It's mostly Chicago. Our Discord server. I mean, the amount of interaction in Cook County versus uh way south, Carroll County or wherever you want to talk it's crazy the difference. And obviously, I mean, Chicago's a huge metropolitan area, and most people live in Cook or they live in DuPage, and DuPage people go to Cook County to bird. So you get a lot of different groups. Sometimes those groups clash. Um, Ethics are heavily talked about in Chicago, especially during migration season, Montrose and stuff like that. Um, so that's always a hot topic of discussion. If you're too close, or you're doing this, or you're doing that, you're stressing the bird out. Um, I'll say most people are nice. I I have no enemies with anyone here. Everyone has been nice. I'm nice to everyone. They're all helpful usually, with most birds. I don't know. I don't really have too much bad things to say about here. It's definitely interesting sometimes when you're not in the loop like I was a couple years ago and you miss this cool stuff and you kind of grow a grudge to some of these groups of people, but whatever. It's water under the bridge at this point. It's I do enjoy birding in Wisconsin more because it seems like you guys are a lot nicer up there just in general.
I
No
don't know if we should put that
tolls.
on record for him. We don't want him
No
to get kicked
tolls.
out.
Yeah, hey. Yeah, you guys got no tolls up there. I just go where I want to go.
Freedom.
Yep.
I still think
Yeah,
we should
not
put tolls specifically on Illinois license plates that come up,
oh
actually.
jeez. I don't know about all that.
Hey, that's
You guys
why I'm
be
not
making
in
some
charge,
good
though.
money.
You're free. You're free as long as I don't get elected governor.
True. Well, hey, I can keep going up to Milwaukee and bagging all the owls then. Whatever. Bagging the tanager.
Did you get
So,
the tanager?
Yep.
Oh,
oh,
Yeah, I
nice.
nice.
went like I don't know, was it 2 hours after it got reported or something? It was
Oh,
pouring rain or I forgot. But that day was fun because we got a double hole screech owl or double screech owl in a hole. And then we blasted up there and got the tanager, which was awesome. And we got some like Bonapartes and I think I got my first photo of an Icelandic gull, which was
oh
I
yeah.
think almost as exciting as the tanager because the tanager was not
Whoa.
playing very nice. Hey, the pictures, okay, the pictures.
Oh yeah,
Seeing
I
the
forgot we're
tanager was a
talking
lot
to a
better.
photographer.
It
Yeah.
was a really nice Iceland gull, though. We saw it
It
there.
was. It was like
Wasn't
white,
it a
white.
basically pure white
Yep,
Iceland gull? Yeah,
yep.
it was a good gull.
I was very happy. Um, Dude, there were so many warblers that day too, just dripping off the trees. I mean, it was a fun day. It was 40 degrees, but it was a fun day.
A number of days later, there was three Harlequin ducks that were there as well, just 20 yards offshore too.
Were the males?
I think one was a male actually, and then there
Hmm.
was also a random willet there that just popped in for a bit too.
Random Willet. That's a classic
If
Chicago
you're into
bird
that
right
sort of
there.
thing. I feel like we get way more Harlequin ducks than we used to. It used to be, one or two a year, and now it feels that there's way more. But which I'm
Oh,
not going to complain. I love Harlequin ducks. They're so
Harlequins are
cool.
my favorite ducks. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was gonna
more than the
say,
wood duck.
yeah, I mean, wood ducks are just wood ducks to me. They're cool pictures, but they're just everywhere here. So, you could go to North Pond next to Montrose and they're hand fed, so they just come up to you. So that's what it
Did you
is.
go get pictures of the probably domesticated mandarin duck that showed up at the
Oh
yacht
yeah.
club? Yeah, you
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. But we were there and we waited 4 hours for that thing to come out. It was brutal. It was last March, March like 6th or something. And it was like 8 degrees outside, which was crazy. And I was like, this is miserable for a pet duck. But it was pretty. It was pretty duck. We got a long-tailed duck a male long-tailed duck that day too. So that
Nice.
was probably the best part of that.
That thing
Um,
had paparazzi. Like the amount of money in
yeah.
lenses there was ridiculous every day
I
Yeah, it
think
was
for
you
a
should just buy
domestic
your own.
bird.
Buy your own mandarin ducks, put them in a pond in your backyard, and then you can charge people to
mhm.
come take photos of them.
Hey, I definitely didn't have this idea, but someone that wasn't me had the idea of taking mandarins and putting them in the Montrose Harbor and just seeing the freak out ensue of there being a mandarin duck there. I didn't say that. If it happens to happen this spring, I don't know, but I think that would be funny. Of
It
course,
would.
take the
That would
duck
be very
back.
funny. I think
Don't
that
let it.
people would be canoeing, kayaking, swimming with their lenses held above them to get as close as humanly possible to the mandarin ducks that may
Was
or
there
may not
more?
be here directly from Asia.
Yeah, surely they flew all the way over here.
We don't know.
Um, what about the flamingos? Was there more lenses and or money in lenses there, or was the mandarin still?
Yeah, I would first day of
Yeah.
flamingos, I would say there was more money in lenses there. And then there was like a somebody so they showed up in port. You didn't go up for
Hmm.
those, did you?
I was working and then I went to Colorado. So
Okay.
no,
Sounds
Tough.
like he
I was
avoided them
angry. Yeah,
deliberately.
tough. Yeah, avoided
But
them.
they were on the lakefront and then they
Mhm.
moved kind of like to the middle of the state, but in
Yep.
between that somebody allegedly photoshopped a picture of one. And so there was this report where it's like, oh yeah, one of the flamingos was sighted here, and someone was like, oh, I was there, and the guy taking the picture was looking at not a flamingo, and it was like photoshopped in. There was a lot of weird stuff going on with that.
Interesting
The
for
internet, man.
flamingos.
It's made things strange.
Yeah. Well, how did you guys do with roseate spoonbill this year? How much did you get any in the Milwaukee-ish area, or have you
There
No,
not
so
gotten
there
was
was
far?
one.
one in like Green Bay area. Me
Yeah,
and
the one
Ryan
at
didn't end
the
up going to go see it, but apparently people weren't being very ethical for that, from what I've heard.
wasn't it way out on like the flats out there?
I think it
I think
varied.
so.
Oh,
They would kind of come closer and go further.
yeah.
Seems like that kind
Spoonbills.
of stuff from the south is moving up more and more. You know, the Limpkins are coming in
Mhm.
now.
Oh,
You know, I don't know if this was our first roseate spoonbill, but we roseate spoonbill. The flamingos aren't going to be a normal thing, but
There
you
was a
know, a
white
lot of stuff.
ibis.
oh,
Oh yeah, there
nice.
was white ibis. What a
Was it an
crazy
adult?
year.
Yeah, it was an adult, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been
Eh,
weird. So
yeah.
Matt, you go people listening, they go birding in Chicago, right? For
Mhm.
whatever thing they want to go see. Where do they go and get deep dish pizza? What's your recommendation?
Oh, jeez, dude. You're putting me on the spot for a guy that's just a white kid that's ate the same pizza. Uh, um,
Hey, pizza knows no color, Matt.
I guess, dude. I'm just gonna say like the typical like go to Gino's East. I think Giordano sucks. I'll put that
That's
on
a
the
hot
plate.
take. I like
I
it.
like how
Not
you
a
acted like you
Giordano's
had
fan.
no opinion and then threw that one in there.
Not a Giordano's guy. I think Gino's East is way better. Um, but deep dish, I'm not a deep dish guy. I mean, I'll eat like two pieces of it and then I feel like I'm dying. So,
That's how you're
so
supposed to feel.
I guess, but it's like you don't want to eat just for like 5 days afterwards. It sucks. I'm
Think how
more of
much
the
money you save.
dude. The deep dish pizza is like $50.
Yeah, but
It's
it
like
keeps you full for 6 weeks.
6 weeks. Oh, jeez. I guess after eating a slice every other day. I'm more of that thin crust, dude. That thinner crust tavern style. That's more
Do you
my
have a
my.
place for that?
Nah, I mean every tavern crust style pizza is good to me. So just go anywhere. Go watch Dave
Gotta take him to the
Portnoy. He
Wells
did a bunch of
Brothers,
reviews.
Derek.
Where?
Called Wells Brothers. It got reviewed
It
by
was
the dude
reviewed
that
by
does the pizza
Dave,
reviews.
Was
And
Dave?
it's the super, super thin crust, the Milwaukee
Milwaukee
style.
style.
Dude, the thinner the crust, the better the pizza.
You
You
would
would
like
like
it. It
it.
was literally like eating a tortilla.
What's
Ryan
it called?
hated it.
Wells?
It
Wells
wasn't my favorite
Brothers.
pizza. The hype, it was overhyped in my opinion. You know, I
Oh,
would eat it
jeez.
again. I would eat it. It just wasn't my
Wells
favorite.
Brothers. What, Racine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 4.7 stars on Google, dude. That's pretty good.
I
1,400
think what I'm
reviews.
hearing is we're gonna have to go down to Illinois, find some screech owls, find some other owl species, drive up together, have some Wells Brothers pizza, and then boom, call it a day.
Sounds like a good plan to me. Or
Sounds
maybe
great.
there'll be a Black-Toed Gray and Racine at some point again.
They
We
get
can meet
them
there.
that kind of stuff at Win Point. So
Hey, meet you there. Not see it again.
What was the deal with the black throated gray? Was it just like people didn't think the homeowner was going to allow people, and then they did?
The Illinois one, yeah. So who first? It first got just reported on eBird. Like some guy just made a random eBird report that he saw it in someone's back, or not even a backyard. He just put it at a hotspot. Um, so we had one of my friends message that guy. And the other guy was, I think, kind of vague, but he was kind of willing to help. So they went back and forth, and they got the homeowner's contact info. And then the first person was like, I'm going to go. I'm going to see if the bird's there. And then I'm going to ask if other people can come. And then he went, and it seemed like to him, they didn't want many people coming. So again, I was fortunate enough to be in this group that was going to be able to see it. And again, that's, the gatekeeping part. Um, so we went to see it. And when I got there that same day, an hour after he had been there was like 20 other people there already. I was like, well, I don't even get to be in the gatekeeping party anymore. Everyone knows about this thing. The McHenry County Audubon knew about it, the Kane County Audubon. I was like, oh, well, now I don't feel bad. So that's kind of how it went. And the birds stayed for a week.
I feel like we should have a rule with anyone who's nice enough to open their house, you just put a tip jar out and people can give donations
Oh,
if they
yeah.
want,
Yeah.
because there's some really nice homeowners out there
Mm-hmm.
that just like they will sometimes even give you food and like make
Oh, yep.
stuff and
Mm-hmm.
water, and they just love having people over. And I feel like, they should be getting, somebody should put out a tip jar for them if they're
cherish those
too,
people.
if
This
they
is
don't
just,
want to, somebody else should, and
yeah.
then give them the proceeds.
I don't know
This
what
is
I would
some,
do if a rare bird showed up in my house because I've seen the craziness that ensues. There would just be people traipsing around the backyard. There would
yep.
probably be
Yeah.
people using the bathroom in the corner. It would just be anarchy.
Well, this woman seemed to have stuff on lock. It was the nicest, like old woman, widow. She just had a bunch of cats. She just seemed like she just wanted people to talk to. So people go over there, they'd stay for like 2 hours, 3 hours, just having conversations with her. Um, People were buying, I think my buddy Owen bought her, it was either like $100 or $50 a bird seed and like bird feeders from Wild Birds Unlimited. People were leaving like 20 and $50 bills on the table. So she had the tip jar on lock, even though there was no tip jar. But she wasn't. She said no backyard. No one can go in the backyard. No one went in the backyard. Uh, Finally, nice to see someone actually listen. No one, didn't go or overstep. So it was a good experience for her and us as birders, which was nice.
Solid. I'm gonna put you on the spot with this one. What are your top 5 tips for new bird photographers? So maybe they buy one of those bigger lenses, or maybe they just have like a point and shoot camera.
Mhm.
Like, what are a couple things that they can do that's gonna help their bird photography that you've learned since you started your journey?
Don't shoot up at the sky if you can. It's not a good photo. The blue background is not good, but the white even worse. The white background is even worse. Um, Patience. You need to have a lot of patience if you want to get the good photo. Um, it sucks sometimes. You're waiting 2, 3 hours, and it doesn't happen, but just what you have to do. If you're shooting a bird that's on the ground, lay down on the ground, not shooting down at it, you get that eye level. It looks a lot more professional and a lot more cleaner because they're blowing that foreground out, which would otherwise just be water or mud or something like that, concrete. Um, what else? What else? Be humble. Don't think you know it all when you're first starting for the first, couple years because you don't. I learned that. I thought I was the hottest, thing on the block in 2021. I really wasn't. The photos are not good. Um, so just don't, because people pick up on that. If you're acting like a know-it-all, and you can kind of burn bridges that way. I feel like I probably burned a couple of bridges that way, by just acting like that. And I could have made some good friends that would have helped me out, but that is what it is. It's another thing. What's one thing I wish I knew? Uh, I don't know. Just learn your camera. You just need to learn how your camera works. Learn how to shoot manual. Manual helps a lot of things, not shooting in auto or even people love to shoot in aperture priority mode. Just do manual, in my opinion. You can use auto ISO if that helps you. I use it sometimes too, but just learn how your camera works. Learn what your shutter speed does. Learn what your ISO does. Just go out and play with it. Go out every single day and play with it, or whenever you can, obviously, permit, schedule limiting. But it takes a lot of time. You're not just going to be good at it overnight, so don't give up on it. But you'll get good.
Yeah,
Promise.
I feel like that was one good lesson from your stories. You were very patient with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you went back and said, when I started, the photos were bad, but I just kept doing it over and over and over again. And
Yep.
I'm assuming that's because you just enjoyed doing it so much.
I did. I mean, it's fun. I mean, I just enjoy seeing the birds, and it's
That's the
not even
birder in them.
Sounds
it
like a
is
birder.
it is. Um, Except I like looking at them through a camera, not binoculars. But again, it's not for me. It's not even. I don't want really social media engagement. I'm not posting every single day. I'm not commenting on everyone's pictures. Begging for interactions. But I don't know. The pictures are cool and they look pretty, and the birds are awesome to be around. So that's why I do it. So
I
having
want that
patience allows you.
eBird cover photo.
I I do want that. I'm not gonna lie, I do. That is cool to have. Um, Gives you that little burst inside, little happiness burst.
I
So
have
I'm
one
not
more
gonna lie.
question for you,
Oh,
Matt. Let me paint you the situation. You're in a muddy field. You're
mm-hmm,
wearing a white suit. No
mm-hmm,
idea how you got there. A
mm-hmm.
gyrfalcon and a barn owl land right in front of you. You know that if you shoot from eye level down, it's not going to turn out well, but that's just mud on the ground.
You think
What
I'm
do you
not gonna
do?
lay in the mud, dude? Come on. I've trashed so much of my stuff just laying in mud. Dude, my camera's been in Lake Michigan. It's been in creeks,
Been
like
in Lake
fully,
Michigan?
fully in Lake Michigan. Sony Alpha One, whoever's listening, best camera imaginable, apparently, because it's seen salt water, it's seen fresh water, it's been submerged for 10 seconds at some points.
How
Best
did that
camera.
happen?
So the one that was submerged for that long, I was at McClary Springs in Cook County, and I was on the side of a creek, and the mud just kind of gave way, so the camera just slowly fell into the creek, and it was one of those moments where it fell into the creek, and you just kind of stared at it like, what just happened? Like what? Like why? And I took my phone out to like film it, and I was like, I need to get this out of the water first. So yeah, it was about 10 seconds that it was in the water. Um, but yeah, I'm trashing the suit. I don't care about a suit. Dude, I'm wearing a hoodie and like sweatpants. That's all I wear. I don't need no suit.
Well, I'd love to hear the backstory on how you ended up in that muddy field in a white suit then, but hey, it's good to know.
Teleportation.
Good to know where your allegiances lie to
I
the
thought you were
photo.
gonna say, okay, like that same scenario, barn owl, or falcon flying in, you can only get a picture of one. Which one are you picking?
Barn owl, I
He's
think.
dedicated to that
Is it
barn
is it
owl.
a good perch with a good background? Because
It's
it's gonna be barn
flying. It's
owl.
in flight.
What's flying? What's the
Yeah.
background? It's a muddy field, but is it a green background? What are
It's
we
the
talking?
apocalypse and you see a black hole opening up behind it.
Oh, well, we're all gonna be dead anyways, so whatever. I'll just enjoy the birds
You
while
got
they're
to
in
get
front of
that
me.
picture though.
Well, who's gonna see it? I'm not even really able to get to see it for the
It's
black
going to
I
be the
hole
thought you
last
above
ever
us.
I
cover
thought
of
you took them for
eBirds.
you. Nobody
Well,
needs
I'm
to
not
see
even
it.
gonna be able to see it. I'm gonna die to the hole. I'm gonna shred it up. Jeez.
Now, if people want to see your photos, it's because there are some really cool photos. They're one of the photos you take of those screech owls are some of my favorites to see. And I think every time I look at them on Instagram, I'm like, wow, that's crazy. Where can people go to find you if they want to see that stuff?
So I only post on Instagram or eBird if you're that bored. It's Zuro, Zuro, photography, like in photography, Tography. Or just look up Matt Zuro, you'll find me. Um, that's the only place I post. So if you want to go, check them out. Check them out. They're cool, I guess.
Yeah, would definitely recommend checking out the Instagram. A lot of owls lately, which
Oh, dude,
fits,
I'm addicted. I have so many warblers from the spring or from the fall that I haven't posted, and like I want to, but I can't. Come on, it's owl season.
All right, I got one more question for you. Do you think AI is going to ruin photography?
Yeah, yeah.
Because you see people post stuff. I saw a hilarious photo somebody shot. I think it was of a condor, like shot from below, and then
Mhm.
they had just AI'd the Milky Way in the background.
Oh,
And
yeah. Why not?
people were like, "What are you doing?" The guy's like, "It's a cool photo."
Yeah, just put some aurora borealis behind it. Whatever. Put the moon behind it.
Yeah, do you
But
think
I
it's going
mean,
to become too hard to tell what's real and what's not?
oh, dude, go on Instagram. I could go on Instagram right now. Half the little search button thing, the magnifying glass, is all AI art, and you wouldn't know unless you click the link or click the picture and saw in the hashtags that it's AI art. It's crazy. It's and they have like 150,000 likes. Who needs to take real pictures anymore?
Who needs real birds when you can just
Yeah,
generate them from
yeah. So when they
AI?
all go extinct, just slap some open AI together, and boom, you got barn owl.
You can convince people a species is not extinct well after it's gone extinct.
Oh gosh,
True.
don't even
We should
say
do that
that.
with the ivory build. Now you're
Oh, he
giving me
brought
good
up the ivory
ideas.
build.
That thing's still
We don't need
alive.
that. You got to go photograph it, Matt. If it
I
still
I'll
feel
go
exists.
as
spend a
though Matt started out trying not to ruffle any feathers. Then he made that comment about Giordano's, and now he said the ivory bill's still alive. So now he's gonna get haters from all across the board.
He's had some
dude.
hot takes today.
Definitely
Dude,
some
I'm the
hot
hot take
takes.
machine, dude. I don't have any filter.
Love
I
it.
I hope I wish it was a lie, dude. Those things look crazy. Way better than pileated.
You
Maybe that's
can
another
go
hot
to
take.
like Costa Rica and see like
Isn't there
Same. They
pale
look the
build?
same.
pale build. Yeah, pale build down there. That one's cool.
Go take a gander. Do they look the same?
They're similar. It's that same genus,
Oh, yeah, they do look cool.
Campaphyllus. Yeah.
Yeah.
You would have
Way
a
better than
blast in
pileated.
Costa Rica.
Dude,
I feel like
my
your
buddy
head would explode.
my buddy Mike Carroll's going there this
Oh, we
spring and
know
he
Mike.
offered. Yeah. I
Yeah.
love Mike. We go out owling every night. He lives like 2 minutes from my house.
Perfect.
Um, but he's going there in April, and I don't have 10,000. Let's be honest, dollars to spend on
Well, you
Costa
just
Rica like
spent a
they
bunch of
are,
money on the thermal, so
and the camera right up here. This guy right here for my job. But Costa Rica will happen in the next 5 years. It's definitely a place I need to go. But first, Arizona. Arizona's happening in April, so I'm excited.
you been to South Texas?
I have not. That's next spring.
Ooh.
You got to go. Yeah.
Yep.
A lot of places on your
The
bucket list you need to hit up.
Arizona's happening. South Texas, Pac Northwest needs to happen.
Yep.
Along with the Tetons, maybe at the same time. But then Costa Rica. I do want to do Alaska or Canada, one of those two, just because sounds cool. I don't know. Alaska sounds cool. I want a king eider.
Fair
Big
enough.
time. Big time.
With the AI stuff, do you feel discouraged as a photographer, or does it not change anything for you?
No, no, because
No.
I just do it for myself. It is kind of, you open Instagram and I don't really do it that much, but I open it and I go to the search tab and I'm just like, dude, what is even the point of trying to grow an Instagram at this point if these accounts are getting 200,000 likes with fake art? But that's the only time I really feel discouraged because again, I'm doing it for myself. I enjoy being in nature and just seeing stuff and experiencing it. So it is what it is.
I wonder
But
when we're going to start seeing AI images like an eBird and if they're going to be able to tell that it's,
I
not
I
real.
I had that thought the other day when I saw the fake barn owl picture. I'm like, dude, this is gonna get a little ridiculous. Even with like the near extinct species. So we'll see. We'll see if AI is that good though.
It's getting
I
good.
picture Matt opening Instagram, getting discouraged, doing a little sigh, like, and then just going, "Well, it's screech owl time," and then
Yep.
just going outside,
Yep.
find the
Well,
screech owl.
time to go 5 minutes from my house and feel sorry for myself. But
Yeah.
Do you feel like
whatever.
when it's you one on one with a lot of these species, it's almost like a spiritual experience?
You know, some people say that, and it felt like that when I was with the Great Grays the last time because it was just like that serene. It was just dead silent with four Great Grays and one that I was just with it, and I was the only person with it. And I don't know if it's spiritual or whatever. It just feels crazy. It just feels like wow, this is happening.
It feels like
But
you have that connection. You're like
mm,
watching this bird hunt, you're watching it look around. It's like, I don't know,
mm,
it's just a really cool thing.
they're very majestic. A lot of these birds, so just a lot of good feelings.
Definitely. Well, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us, Matt. Definitely encourage people to check out your photography on Instagram or eBird if they want to, get
Yeah,
into
go
there and keep an eye on
five
the eBird
stars.
homepage. Yeah, give
Yep.
5 star some photos if you dig them.
Mm-hmm. But
So,
I appreciate you having me. I love talking about birds and random stuff. I just ramble.
yeah, for sure, it's been fun. Well, thanks so much everyone for watching this episode of the Badgerland Birding Podcast.